going to show you how to make this earring that matches the bracelet I made in my last tutorial, which is called the sparkling bone bracelet. This will be the sparkling bone earring. This earring is a little bit more advanced. It's just a bit more difficult than the bracelet. However, it turns out cute, I think, and I think it's a nice match to the bracelet. So let's look at what we're going to need for this project today. Okay, for this project today, we are going to need 2 Montees, and they are the same as in the ring and bracelet tutorial. They are the ones with the 4 little holes on the back of them. Let me zoom in, let you see what they look like this. That's what I'm going to be using. They are 4mm and they are sapphire in color. Then we will need for this project 2 ear posts. I'm using posts. You can use French wires. I'm using posts, and here we go up again with the little loop at the bottom. Now you can use a regular French wire or a lever back, whatever you want. You'll just sew into the loop on that the same way I'm sewing into the loop on this one to attach our earrings. So you'll need 2 of those. And then you will need 2 8mm Bicone crystals and 12 6mm Bicone crystals. I'm using a blue, I don't know what the name of it is, color. So there you have it. And then you will need 11 O's, 15 O's, and 8 O seed beads. Now these are all 3 Toho. This is a black diamond translucent 8 O. This 11O and this 15O are the galvanized aluminum silver tone permanent finish Toho seed beads. So then I am going to use the Nanofil again. And this is 10-pound Nanofil. You can definitely use regular Fireline. You can use 8 or 6 pound. So thread onto your needle, and I'm using a size 10, a little over an arm length, probably 3 or 4 inches over an arm length, and we'll go ahead and get started with this project. Okay. To start this project, you are going to pick up 4 8O seed beads onto your needle, like so. And then you're going to bring them to the end of your thread. You're going to do a ladder stitch with 2 beads in each stitch. So we are going to just come from the tail side through the first 2 beads that we put onto our thread. Hold on to the tail, hold on to your beads, and pull your needle through. And while you do that, that will then push the other 2 beads on top of the 2 first beads, like so. Now you're going to sew back down. You're coming out of this set of beads. You're going to sew back down into the second set of beads. Hold on to everything. Pull your thread through. Try not to pull your tail through. And then go back up through the first set again. So I'm coming out here, I'm going to go into here. I'm going to pull on my tail and my working thread and make sure these are nice and neat. And this is what you should have. Let's get just a little closer now. So I have 2 units here of ladder stitch. Now I'm coming out of this unit here. I'm going to go down into this unit again, and in this particular design we're going to use 4 units of ladder stitch to start with instead of 2 like we did in the bracelet and the ring. So we're going to pick up 2 more 8O seed beads. We're coming out of the bottom here. We're going to go into the top of the 2 beads, and we're going to pull the thread through. And then we're going to sew back up through the 2 beads that we just added. And then we're going to sew back down into the previous set and back up into the 2 we just added. This is what you should have. And again, pick up 2 8O seed beads. You're coming out of the top here of this unit. We're going to go into the bottom of the unit. And then we're going to pull the beads that we added onto our thread tight against the piece that we're working on. We're coming out of this bead, we're going to go down into this new set that we just created, and then we're going to go back up into the previous set, and then we're going to go back into the first set. Now we're going to turn this piece over and we're going to work from the side our tail is on. This does not matter because we're not going to use the tail. We don't need it for anything, and it doesn't matter what side we start in. We will just cut this off and burn it down. So what we're going to do is we're going to pick up 2 8/0 seed beads. We're coming out of this bead, we're going to go down into this bead here. We are then going to go into the next set of beads, like so, pull the thread through, and then pick up 2 more 8/0 seed beads, like so. And then we are coming out of this bead, we're going to go down into the bottom here, like so, and pull these tight. Now, we're going to sew back up into the previous unit. So we're coming out of this unit here, we're going to sew into this unit, and we're going to sew through all 3 beads, and we're going to exit the middle top bead here. So we will be working out of the 2 middle beads in our piece now. We will pick up a 15/0 seed bead, and then we will pick up, turn that back over, we will pick up a monte. Now we want our monte to lay like this on our unit, so we're going to hold our monte that way. We're going to find the 2 holes in the monte that will allow it to lay that way. So I'm going to go through those 2 holes like so. Let me back off a little. I'm getting out of frame. I'm so sorry. So I went up through the monte on those 2 holes, making sure that my monte will lay this way. And then I'm going to pull this 15/0 and this monte down to my work and arrange it to where the monte is face up in the way that I want it to be, just like this. Then I'm going to pick up a 15/0, 2 8/0 seed beads, and a 15/0, and I am going to go into the holes on the other side of the monte. So I'm just going to flip it like this. I'm going to go through these 2 holes right here. My needle is bent, so finagle it in there. Okay, just like so. And then I'm going to pick up a 15/0 seed bead, and I'm going to come down through this 8/0 right here, the other center 8/0. And I'm going to pull everything tight, like so. Now, if you get real close, you will notice these 2 8/0s are not joined at the bottom here because that's the way herringbone works. So I'm going to join them. I'm going from this bead into this bead right here, and I'm going to pull my thread through, and then I'm going to go into, on the side here, I'm going to go into the 15/0, the monte, the 15/0 on the other side of the hole of the monte, and the 8/0 on top of it, just like so. And I am going to pull my thread through. Now you need to straighten this all up so it's nice and neat. And you'll do that just by kind of pushing and pulling on the beads and the thread a little bit. Make sure that it's nice and neat. And this is what you should have. I'm sorry, I am out of frame. So let's back off even a little more. There we go. So I've just kind of pushed and pulled. I was just adjusting until everything was tight, just like this. And then now you will notice you have a set of herringbone over here that you don't have down here. All we have are the 2 center beads. So we have to add a bead here and then come back over and add a bead here. So what we're going to do is we are going to pick up an 8/0 seed bead, drop it down to our work, and then I'm going to turn my work over like so. I'm coming out of the top of this 8/0 here. I've got my new 8/0 here. I'm going to go down into the bottom of the bead that I'm coming out of. And this is just going to add this bead to the side in a ladder stitch, like so. And then I'm going to come back up through the bead that I just added so I can tighten everything. I'm going to pull my thread and tighten this. Now I'm going to go into the bead next to it. So I'm coming out of my new bead. I'm going to go into the bead I started in and pull. And then I'm going to go into the bead on the other side. So I'm coming out of this bead here. Let's get close again so you can see I'm coming out of this 8/0 here. I'm going to go into this 8/0 here. Then I'm going to turn my work over again, just because it's easier for me to handle. Like so. Straighten my beads out. And now I'm going to pick up another 8/0 seed bead. I'm coming out of the bottom of this bead here. I'm going to go into the top of it. I'm going to pull my new 8/0 seed bead down to the side of the bead I'm working in. And then I am going to go back up through the one I just added. And I'm going to pull it tight. And then I'm going to go through the one that I started in. Now these are a little canted, and that's because in the herringbone stitch I put here, beads are canted. So as I work through this, it'll straighten out a little bit, but we do want a little bit of canting going on. That's what the stitch is. So now I'm coming out of this bead right here. I'm going to go down into this one on the end. I am now going to pick up 2 8/0 seed beads. I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going to go into this bead right here and pull these 2 down. And then I'm coming out of this bead. I'm going to go over into the bead on the other side of the Monte here. I'm going to cover my Monte so it doesn't catch my thread, and I'm going to pull my thread through, just like so. Straighten my beads out. Now I'm going to pick up 2 more 8/0 seed beads. I'm coming out of this 8/0 here. I'm going to go down into this one here and pull. Like so. Now I'm going to sew back over through this first bead on the top here, just like this. I have to get my needle and thread in alignment to go through this side so I can do one more row. I'm coming out of this bead right here. I am going to not go through the one on top of it. I'm going to cross over and go through the one on top of the one on the end. This one here. And pull my thread down between the beads and tighten everything up. Now this pulls your beads straight, so you can just kind of mess with them. You may want them straight. It just depends on how you want to do it. Now we're coming out of this bead here. We're going to pick up 2 8/0 seed beads. And then we are going to go through just the top bead next to the one we're coming out of. So we're coming out here. We're going to cross over into this one and pull our beads down. Lay them out nice and neat. Now we're coming out of this bead. We are then going to go into the next bead in line. Pull it over and pick up 2 8/0 seed beads. Come down through the next bead. So you're coming out here, come down through this one here, and the one on top of it. Okay, so now we're just going to create the top of our earring here. So what we are going to do, let me see which side I did that from on this one. Sorry guys, need a little reference here. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we are going to work our way up to the top by picking up a 6mm Bicone crystal. We're coming out of this bead, we're going to go into this section of 3 here, and pull the bead into place, like so. Now I'm going to get rid of this tail just because I don't need it and it's in my way. And cut it off, like so. This is what I have. Now I'm going to back off a little bit. So now I am going to pick up two 11-0 seed beads onto my needle like this. I am coming out of this part of the herringbone stitch here. I'm going to go into the next two beads like so, and I'm going to pull these two 11-0s down and tighten everything on the side here so that there's no slack where my crystal is. And then I'm going to go into the next set. So I'm right here coming out of this second 8-0 from the top here, and I'm going to go into the next two 8-0s like so. Pull it down. Then I'm going to pick up two 11-0 seed beads. I'm coming out of this column of 8-0s. I'm going to go into the last column of 8-0s like this and pull this tight. Lay my beads out like so. That's what that should look like. You just have four little 11-0s on top. Now you'll pick up another 6mm Bicone crystal. And if I get entangled here, you will then slide into the next three herringbone stitches. So we're coming out right here. We're going to go down into these three right here and pull our bead into place like so. And now we're going to create the bottom of the earring. So what we are going to do is we're going to pick up three 15-0 seed beads onto our needle. And then a 6mm bicone, and then an 11-0. So this is what you should have on your needle. Three 15-0s, a 6mm bicone, and an 11-0. I'm going to put this down. I'm going to back off just a bit. I'm going to bring this down to my herringbone stitch. I have my 11-0 here. I'm going to go around it and then into the 6mm bicone. And then I'm going to go into the 8-0 on the herringbone right there. I'm going to pick this up and pull my beads tight like so. Arrange your beads so that they look good. And then you're coming out of this 8-0 here. You're going to go down into this 8-0 right next to it. You are then going to pick up, I believe it's 6. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 15-0 seed beads. Sorry, I have to reference my other earring. I just made it a couple minutes ago. So this pattern isn't stuck in my head yet. So I'm going to pick up 6 15-0 seed beads. And then I'm going to pick up an 11-0. And then I'm going to pick up an 8-0. So I've got 6 15-0s, an 11-0, and an 8-0. And then I'm going to pick up another 6mm Bicone crystal, put it on my needle, and then I'm going to pick up an 11-0. So 6 15-0s, an 11-0, an 8-0, a 6mm Bicone, and an 11-0. I'm going to drop this down to my work. I'm going to bring you in a little closer, and we are then going to go around the 11-0 and into the 8-0 and the 11-0 right on top of the crystal. Then we're going to pull our thread through like so. Now, don't pull these so tight that they bunch up. You just want them to lay on top of each other nice. When you're getting your tension as you pull up around to get your 11-0 fringe stitch going, you can really bunch these 15-0s and then your fringing looks really weird. So don't do that. Just tight enough to where there's no slack. Then after you're coming out of your 11-0, pick up 6 more 15-0 seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 1, yep, I have 6. So 6 15-0 seed beads onto your needle here. Let me back off again. Sorry guys, I hope this tutorial is going to work because I just can't stay in frame. So now, I'm coming out of the 11-0 here. I've got my 15-0s. I'm coming up into the next 8-0 seed bead right here. And I'm going to pull all these beads down. Now, as you can tell, these 2 beads are separated from my herringbone. You can either leave it that way if you like it, or you can sew them together. Now on this one, they're close together. I think that it might have been kind of pretty to leave them separated, but you can make that decision. Since I've already closed mine, I am going to go up into just the 8-0. So I'm coming out of this 8-0 right here. I'm going to go into the next 8-0 that I started my fringing in. And I'm going to pull these 2 beads together and come up through the next one here. So I'm coming out of this one now. I'm going to come through this one now. Like so. And then I'm going to do that one more time just to pull them closer and make it a little less thready here. Like so. And let me get you a close-up. Now this is herringbone, so you're always going to see some thread, but you have to remember too that this is also magnified a lot. With the bare eye, it's not going to be as obvious as it is under my camera's magnifying lens here. Okay, so I have gone through and I am tightened these 2 beads together. I'm coming out of this bead now. I'm going to go down into the last one, the last 8-0 here. Okay, now I am going to pick up 3 15-0 seed beads onto my needle. And then I'm going to pick up a 6mm bicone and an 11-0. I'm going to drop this down to my work. Then we are going to come back around the 11-0 seed bead, up through the 15-0s, and up into the herringbone stitch. So I'm going to come up through all 3, and then I'm going to also come through this crystal. So I'm just going to pull all this down, pull my 11-0 into place, straighten everything out, make sure that my beads aren't bunched because of the tension, and then I am now going to sew up to the top of my piece. So I need to get into these 3 8-0 seed beads here. Make sure that I don't pull these out of whack, and that's what I have so far. Now I am going to come up into this little 11-0 on the very top here. I'm just going to turn it over so it's more accessible to my hand. And then I am going to pick up 5 15-0 seed beads. And an 8mm Bicone crystal. So we're going to pick up one of our big ones here. So I've got 5 15-0s, and then I've got my 8mm Bicone. Then I'm going to pick up an 8-0 seed bead, and then I'm going to get my ear wire, like so. Now I want to make sure that this stays up, so I'm going to back off so you can see. I want to make sure this stays up like this so that the front of my earring is in the right position. So I have to turn this over, go up through the ear wire like this, And then I'm going to go around the loop in the ear wire into the 8/0 seed bead and back through just the crystal, like so. Now arrange it to where your thread is coming out next to the 15/0s, not on the outside but on the inside, like so. And then you're going to pick up 5 more 15/0 seed beads. Then we are going to go back down into the top of the next 11/0 seed bead. So let's get close. I've got my 5 15/0s on my needle, like so. I am going to go down into this little 11/0 seed bead right here, and just the 11/0. And I'm going to pull gently, make sure my beads come next to the beads that I already put on, not over the top, not tangled, just right next to it. Scoot your little 8mm over, and then come up through the next 11/0 seed bead. Now they're at an angle, so come up through the angle here, like so. Pull the thread through. Then pick up 5 15/0 seed beads. Go up through the crystal and the 8/0 into the loop of the ear wire. Make sure you don't pull your ear wire out of whack here, like I just did. You want to make sure that it's positioned so when you go through it, you're not going to make it turn around to the back of the head here. And then I'm going to go back through the 8/0 and the crystal and pull my thread through. And see how everything's straight. Someone told me I wasn't giving close up enough views, so I'm trying to get closer, and now I'm kind of off. I'm trying to figure out, because at first I was doing really close and people told me it was annoying, it was too close, so I backed off, and now people are telling me you can't see, it's too far away. So I'm trying to adjust, so kind of bear with me, guys. I'm my own camera person and I'm trying to bead, so it's a little difficult. So now I'm coming out of my 8mm Bicone crystal again. I'm making sure that my ear wire is the way I want it to be, or my post, whatever you want to call it. And I'm coming out of the crystal. I've got these 3 lined up straight. They're not on top of each other. They're not tangled. They're laying straight. Now I'm going to come through the next 11/0 seed bead. On the very top here, I'm going to get close so you can see that 11/0. Oops, too close. Probably drive you guys crazy with this camera today. And now I'm going to pull these through. As I pull them through, I'm going to push them over next to the others so that it lays nice and neat. So you have 4 strands that aren't all tangled up, like so. Now I'm going to sew back up through, so I'm going out of this 11/0 here, I'm going to come back up through the next 11/0, and all 5 of these little 15/0 seed beads. Make sure you don't miss any, whatever you do, because this will really bunch your work up. And get that last one. There we go. And then up through the crystal. Hold on to your 15/0s so that they don't move out of alignment, just like so. Now, right here, I'm going to go between this 8/0 and this crystal. I'm going to grab the thread, and I'm just going to tie a knot right here. So, let's see if I can grab this. I'm just going to go around it. I'm going to try to go between the 8/0 and the crystal. If you can see what I'm doing here. Damn, I'm out of frame again. Sorry, guys. I'm going to pull a knot between the 8/0 seed bead and the 8mm Bicone crystal. I'm going to sew down into the crystal again. Straighten out my ear wire, make sure it's right, straighten out my 11/0 seed beads. I am going to cut this off here, leaving a little extra. I'm going to burn the little extra. I didn't leave much. I'm going to burn that down and turn this over. And now I will show you the set of earrings that I have made. Now, the difference from one to the other is that I pulled the fringe on my first one I made a little bit tighter than I pulled these. I was very careful about my tension on this one, so they look much neater and much nicer. So be careful not to pull them. As you can see, this one, let me get close, it's just a little tiny bit bunched, and that's because of my tension. I just pulled too tight as I came back through. So make sure you don't do that. And that's what these look like. Hopefully this was actually something that you can follow. If it wasn't, I'll trash it, but I'm hoping it turned out okay. And this is what the earrings look like. This is what the bracelet looks like. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If not, I'm so sorry. Bye.